Oh, welcome to the Sharpe Club tonight, 8 p.m. on the East Coast, a little bit past. I'm a little late, but that's okay. I have a bunch of people I'm trying to get together, so that is my excuse. So it's okay. Plus, here's the best part. I got Phil, who is my caretaker, to allow me to stay up late tonight. So I'm fine now. So now I can do it. Usually I gotta like get in about 7 and go to bed. But Phil gave me permission to stay up, and he's here. So if you don't like it, you can blame Phil. That is what I think will be the right answer. Just blame him for everything. It's all good. Actually, very happy to have you here. It is a members Sharpe Club. I know, trying to give some assistance to people who have been so good to me and have been members and been with me for so long. I appreciate it. All you doing that. We're talking today. This is the Keto Show. We're going to talk about keto today. However, we're going to couch it in something, which is the government actually supporting us in our health and in our lifestyle? And some of you may know RFK Jr. was on the Hill today, and they were trying to grill him on what a bad guy he is and trying to get us to have like healthy food and stuff. Who the hell do you think he is? That kind of thing, of course. And we're going to chat about that. I have with me an amazing panel. I do. I hope I pronounce everyone's name right. I think I will. And if I don't, they'll yell at me and tell me that I've got it wrong. She's been here. She's a member, and she's been in keto and all types of stuff. She's going to give us all the different ideas. Her name is Andrea Luzinski. Did I get that right, Luzinski?
Yes. Yes. Hello, everybody.
I'm winning. And also, the man, the myth, the legend, he has run for office. I don't know why he's crazy, but he has done it, and he keeps doing it, supporting libertarians throughout the Hudson Valley. He's the man himself, Juan Ayala. How are you, sir?
Fine. Thank you for having me.
There we go. And an activist who is so hardcore, he reaches out to me and he says things like, hey, how do I fix this? How do I fix that? And this dude was my driver, drove me around New York State, trying to help me out to get stuff done. He is a serious activist, and he also will put some funny comments. Sometimes, don't get all uppity. Sometimes, the man himself, Phil Vecchio. How are you, sir?
Very good. How are you? I'm impressed. You had to go through 3 different language groups in order to pronounce all the last names today. So
I did. I was jumping through them all. I was trying to get rid of all of them, but it did work, I guess. I got them all right, so we're all good. So look, the thing I want to bring up here more than anything is I'll quickly talk about my concern, which is for literally years, I grew up as a kid eating nothing but carbs, tons and tons of carbs. And it wasn't because my mom didn't love me. I mean, I think she loved me. I assume my mom loved me, and she wasn't doing it because she thought she was hurting me. She was doing it because she felt it was the right thing for me. She was told to, give your kid the grains and the breads and she gave it to me, tons of it, right? And supposedly, I grew up on things like Captain Crunch cereal, right? Which is like not literally poison. It's just poison, right? And I grew up on that because it's got the minerals and vitamins or whatever in it, right? That's what the government told us. So it
part of a balanced breakfast.
It was part of a balanced breakfast, Phil. Of course it was. So why wouldn't I have it? I had lots of it, tons of it. And as I got older, I realized how wrong it was. But it took me a long time to figure that out. And for those who don't know, after 9/11, I was considering leaving New York State and moving to Pennsylvania, believe it or not. I was afraid. I was living in New York City. I watched the second plane hit the towers, and I was like, that's it. The world's ending. I got to get out. Got to get my family out of here. So I started a small business in Pennsylvania. I actually moved to Bensalem in Bucks County. And when I went over there, I actually started a business there. And it was selling, my job was selling different types of natural things into franchise GNCs and natural food stores. And that's when I began to understand the system. That's when I first got into the idea of the Atkins ID and all that kind of stuff, all that stuff. And it was so foreign to me. I was like, these people must be nuts. This stuff's crazy. That's what I thought. Andrea's laughing because she knows what I'm talking about, right? And these people are nuts. It's crazy. Then all of a sudden, I'm watching the healthiest people I know are all doing exactly the opposite of what the government said. And everyone who's sick is doing what the government said. Am I nuts? Andrea, tell me, am I nuts?
You're not nuts. You're not nuts.
Okay, go ahead, please.
I would say that I tried Atkins on and off in my early 20s, but living
Mm,
in Chicago, it had being single, it was very hard to sustain
mm.
that lifestyle. And so I went back to normal eating, and the pandemic happened, and everybody that was getting really sick were the ones that had comorbidities and diabetes. And I had type 2 diabetes, high blood pressure, was on a couple medications. And I thought, well, I need to do something.
Sure.
And Atkins had worked for me in the past. I just didn't find it sustainable. So I started looking, and I found Dr. Westman. And he was the one actually wrote the Atkins book back in the
Yep.
90s,
I remember.
and started following him on YouTube and found a group of people to help me sustain this way of eating in my mid 40s.
I
But
tell you the problem that I had, Andrea, is, and this may sound funny, but some of my friends who've smoked in the past would tease me and go, "Lie, you want to lose weight? Just start smoking." Right? That was like a joke they would all say. Just start, at least you smoke, you'll be skinny, right? You just smoke instead of eating, you smoke, right? Now,
well,
there's a
I
part of that
smoked,
that's,
so
but
that's
that didn't
not
work for you.
true.
Yes, it didn't work for you. But my point was, I'm not a smoker, I'm not a drinker. So when I got stressed, I ate. That was my drug, right? Food, carbs. And people will laugh when I say that, but eating the carbs literally did work. It was a short term. It was like having a drug. It did make me feel better for the few minutes after I ate it. Then I went back to whatever I was feeling. But it does work. I don't mean to be, I'm not trying to be, I'm not trying to tease people, but it's true. I ate because it worked. It made me feel better. It just did.
Well, it releases the natural endorphins to make you feel better.
There we go. There we
Mhm.
go. Absolutely. So you've been nodding your head, Phil. Go ahead, please.
Oh yeah, no, just a lot of it's true. I mean, it's about and I haven't really told many people this before, but about a year ago, I had checked into the hospital because I was having a hard time just moving around because my legs had gotten so swollen. I'd had this problem for a while where I have was diagnosed with like lymphedema, so my legs had been swelling up, and I had been driving a lot for work, and so eating a lot of salty food, so my legs had swollen up, and then that job was mostly picking up COVID tests, and so that ended. So for about a year after that, and I'd been looking for a job, and it was hard because my legs were swollen, and so it was just tough for me to find and keep a job after that. And so I'd gotten to the point where my parents were concerned. They said, well, let's get you to the hospital. So I went to the hospital, and within a month, I lost 90 pounds, and then I lost another like 40 pounds when I got back. And I put on maybe 20 since the summertime a little bit. And I saw over the summertime with the heat and all that, a little more fluid retention. But it just kind of tells me too, though, that if I'm able to lose weight that fast, that there's something going on beyond just, beyond just like diet and exercise, because if it was just diet and exercise, I wouldn't have been able to lose 90 pounds in a month. So
yes, wow, Juan, jump in here. Tell us something.
Yeah, you brought up the perfect thing. For me, it was stress eating. For me, I'm sometimes getting into these programming sessions, 12, 13 hours, and I just needed a quick fix. And when I really was watching myself eat, I realized, wait a minute, I'm eating a lot of food. It's maybe 100 calories here, 200 here, but it adds up over 24 hours.
Yeah.
And for me, basically, over the past, of course, Phil has a much better number, but for me, for the past year and a half, probably, I sort of threw everything at the wall. I started hiking. I started going to the gym. I started dieting. First low calorie, then back to sort of like a high protein diet. I have lost 75 pounds. But for the exact same reasons too, because getting up there in age, I was basically having trouble walking. I couldn't walk. I was limping around because I was carrying all this extra weight. And now, right now I'm doing a little bit of what I do eat carbs, but I call them good carbs, like fruits, vegetables, no more, eliminate processed foods. Yep. And I'm also back to intermittent fasting. So For example, I
Nice.
just finished my last meal at 6 p.m. My next meal will probably be tomorrow at 12. So, that's my window, and I'm going to go hiking in the snow tomorrow morning. So for about 2 hours. So for me, I tell people too, I'm very, very, to me, you got to find the perfect diet for yourself. Not,
Yes.
For me, I did try Atkins years ago and lost a lot of weight, but I felt sickly because I was eating just bacon and pork and chicken and not realizing that's not good for you. For my digestive system, I was not feeling well. I was skinny, but I wasn't feeling well.
Yep.
Now it's more of if I eat carbs, it has to be with protein. And by having an intermittent fasting a little bit, basically, I can sort of tell when I'm going into keto. And if I have doing an all day hike, then I'll eat carbs because
Sure.
you're doing a hike, you're burning like 4,000 or 5,000 calories.
Yep.
You have to have a little bit of carbs, but it's good carbs. And I can't stress enough. Stop eating junk food, chips. I love
what?
I love
No
my ice cream.
bars and soda? Are you crazy? Kidding.
Yeah, no, it's water. Look, it's just water now. It's just, and I used to drink Coke all the time. I used to drink Diet Coke and Coke, 12 cans a day.
I remember a woman who used to work with me years ago. She was over 300 pounds, and I didn't know how she got so big. Like, because it didn't seem like she ate enough to be 300 pounds. So I worked with her all day. I'm like, is she like going home and like eating 4 meals? Like, I just didn't see her eat so much to be that. And I found out she was drinking 12 to 16 cans of soda every day. Just chugging soda all day. And I wasn't thinking that, but I saw she always had a can of Coke in her hand. She was just constantly drinking calories. And I was like, that's how she's putting on the weight. Because her food intake wasn't enough for her to be 300 pounds. But you're drinking 3 6-packs of Coke a day. Yeah, you could put on that kind of weight. She was just pouring it. She was all day long. She didn't drink water. She only drank soda. That was it. It's like, wow, okay. That's a lot. Yes, go ahead.
I have a question for Juan too, and I've been really impressed to see, like, because I've seen just we're friends on Facebook, so it's been amazing to see you take those hikes, and it's been really encouraging to me. And I was just wondering too, you talked about how a lot of times with your job you would like eat at your job and stuff like that. And I found myself too that like when I was finishing up my degree, when I was a lot of my jobs would be like desk jobs and stuff like that. It's very easy to eat while you're typing something up and stuff like that. And so how much do you think, I mean, because I think that that's one thing that's very different from like our lifestyle and our, lifestyle people before us seems like we're a lot more sedentary.
Yes.
And necessarily so and it's not that, because that's the thing is I think that when people see someone who's overweight, they're like, oh, that person is lazy. They're usually putting in a ton of hours and just grabbing what's convenient and easy. And it's just, and so it's not that, and there needs to be that, that balance between exercise and movement versus, doing work and stuff like that. And I think it's very difficult because I think even especially me in my 20s, I was like, oh, well, I got to sit down and work, and didn't spend and read and watch documentaries and whatever else and learn as much as I could. But I wasn't spending as much time being active and moving as I probably should have.
Well, so there's 3 things. There's 3 things I want to add to this too. One, if you see in the background, I have a standing station. I made myself a standing station, so I try to get up from my desk every couple of hours and work on that laptop in the back. It still connects remotely to my job. That's 1. 2, like today is a rest day because I had a big hike yesterday. I still went around the block 3 times. Going around my cul-de-sac is 3,000 steps. I try to get at least 10,000 steps in a day. And just, and also I stop eating meals at the keyboard. So I actually, even if I go sit on my other desk and eat the meal, I will not serve and work and eat anymore. I'm consciously preparing my meals, eating at my dining room table or my side desk here. I literally say, take a break for 20 minutes, consciously watch yourself eat, because what was happening is it's food's right here. And I'm eating. I'm not paying attention on what I'm eating. So when I really track what I was eating, it was a lot of calories. So for me, it's me. That's why I have that standing station, because sometimes I can be here for 12 hours. So
you bring up a very valid point, Juan. Because I remember when I was 17, I joined the Marine Corps, And obviously as a Marine, I was super active, walking everywhere, working out. We would run, 5Ks 3 times a week, right? I mean, it was a thing. We were always active, staying in great shape. I could eat whatever I wanted. I could eat pizza. I could eat hamburgers. I was burning it all off. It did not matter. I was 19 years old. Did not matter. I could stay at 170 pounds and eat nothing but garbage and just utter garbage and stay. I'm 5'11". Like I said, 5'11", 170 pounds, eating just garbage. Didn't matter. All good. Then I got out and became a teacher. Oh my God, did I put on weight? Because I still thought I could eat like I was an active Marine, and I couldn't, and I got huge. So I feel like and my problem was at that point, all I knew was if you lose weight, work out harder. I did not even understand the concept of changing my diet or how I ate, because I grew up in a Marine Corps, which was just yell at you. You're too heavy, run more, right? That was what we were taught. That's all I knew. So, okay, I guess I got to run every day. What else can I? That's how you lose weight. That's the only thing I thought. But eventually, to your point, Phil, you can't run 17 hours a day and still work and have a family. And it doesn't work, right? You can't. And particularly, I'm not someone who likes being in a gym. Like, I'm not a gym rat. Some people love it and it's great for them and they can't wait to be in the gym 6 hours a day. That isn't me, has never been me. So to your other point, Juan, I have a walking treadmill. Right? So what I'll do is every day I make sure I get on that treadmill for at least 30 minutes. And I have to. And I usually do it at the same time right before I eat, because I also intermittent fast. I'm with you. My last meal is anywhere between 5 and 7, depends on how I act. And then I eat usually around noon. So I will get on that treadmill around 11 and I'll spend at least a half hour on a treadmill and then I'll go eat. So I'm with you. If I don't schedule that, Phil is correct. I'll sit in front of this damn computer the entire day and not move. So I have to schedule that. What worked for me, and this is, again, to your point, Juan, you have to have what works for you. I need to be a slave to my calendar. Like if I put it in my calendar, I will do it. It's not in my calendar, I'm not doing it. It doesn't exist. It's got to be in my calendar. So I put it in my calendar and I change the color of it. I'm not joking. I have to fool myself. If I don't do that, it's not going to happen. So I got to put it in my calendar. So otherwise I'll work out once every 9 years. That's not going to work.
Yep. That's what I have right now. On my calendar, I'm scheduled to get up tomorrow morning at 5:30. It'll take me 30 minutes to drive to the trailhead. I'll hike for 2 hours, get back here at 8:30 and start working at 9. So
there
that's so it's already on my calendar. I already know what I'm going to hike Wednesday. I'm going to hike Friday, and I'm probably going to hike Sunday. So it's on my calendar. And on my off days, I either do the walks or I go swimming, because I'm not a gym person either. I've tried. I tell people I can go in the pool for 45 minutes, and I haven't bought the walking pad yet. I was thinking about it yet, but I still want to go outside and get sun. So I'm almost there.
AB, hey, look, if you want to go outside, it's better. I'm just saying, I know I'm not going outside if I don't have to. I'm not. I'm going to be, So anyway, I'm sorry, Andrea, go ahead.
No, I was going to say it's also important to get up and get your circulation going. So I work at a cube job, and so I make it a point to get up every hour and even just walk around the cubes and just get the blood flowing again.
Yes. So let me grab a couple of things I want to bring up here, because a lot of people are asking about the keto piece in general. And the part that bothers me about this whole thing is most people believe that eating fat makes you fat. Most people believe that, eating bread is a good answer for everything. And the reality of it is fat doesn't make you fat. That's not a thing, right? That's not a thing. I eat lots of fat. And I mean, my typical breakfast, so you guys know this, I'll give you my typical breakfast. I'm very lucky. The reason why keto works for me, I'm not a foodie at all. Like food is just energy, right? It's just energy for me. Like if I never had especially food, I would never care. Some people love that it's a food they enjoy. I'm not a foodie at all. So almost every morning, I have 3 eggs, a third or to a half a pound of ground beef that I fry up, and sauerkraut of different places so that I can mix and match my gut health, and some kind of mustard. That's usually what I have almost every morning, plus coffee. That's my morning. And then I eat around, my morning's noon, around noon. Then I eat one more meal around 6. It's almost always some form of salad with some kind of protein on top. That's all day. If I snack, I tend to snack on something like pork rinds, which is just basically protein and fat. So I eat tons of fat, and I pour olive oil on everything, and I cook with beef tallow, butter, or olive oil. So I throw fat on everything. I do that, and I, generally speaking, just hanging out, I will lose about 1 pound to 1.5 pounds a month. Just doing that.
And that's something that, like, because I've always struggled with my weight, even when I was a little kid. And I remember, like, because my mom, had always struggled with her weight. My dad struggled with his weight. I think my dad, when he went to Columbia University, he said that he had been eating just the cafeteria food. And then after he switched to cooking for himself, he said he lost about 100 pounds when he was in college.
Yes.
And he said, a lot of the fried stuff, a lot of the onion rings and all that stuff. And then, but my mom had done a lot with Weight Watchers, and a lot of the recommendations were very much kind of low fat, low calorie options. So I grew up eating rice cakes. I love rice cakes. Rice cakes are delicious. I grew up drinking skim milk. If I drink 1%, it tastes like cream to me. But I think that was one thing, was I saw all my friends who were drinking whole milk and like not struggling with weight as much as I was.
Right. Yes. Yes, I completely agree. And it has changed how I think about, I've never loved what the government does, but it really made me think that the government is purposely not caring about us, shoving all this stuff into us. And the piece I'll bring up now, which is more important, is institutional food. So the food that the government is shoving into hospitals, schools, prison systems, right? All these big institutions is all the food you just talked about, Phil. It's all the processed food. It's stuff you say to get away from, Juan. They're throwing double that down their throats. So our kids are getting it, our elderly are getting it. It's all there because it's all cheap, right? It's all subsidized by the government. It's all cheap. So they're shoving corn syrup into everything, 100%.
Well, where's the incentive not to?
Right. Good point. Yeah. Good point.
Now,
I completely agree.
Here's a question I have for you guys, because you guys seem to live in different places as well. I noticed when I was in New York City that it's in Philadelphia that the people were generally in better shape. Now, I don't know if that's a chicken or an egg thing. Are people in better shape moving to those places because they can walk, or is the walking, just a kind of a big thing? Because it does seem like, again, being upstate, if I want to go to the grocery store, if I want to go anywhere, it's hop in the car, drive there. Versus, walk a few blocks to the corner store or whatever. So
I walk everywhere in New York City. Everything where I live in Queens is walkable. Everything. My dentist is walkable. My doctor is walkable. My deli is walkable. My supermarket, fast food joints, if I want them. I live in Astoria, Queens, so there's like 20 great restaurants, all walkable. My computer guy is walkable. My CPA is walkable. I walk to every place. Every place I need to go, drugstore, walkable. I walk every place. So yes, it's very easy. To Juan's point, I usually get over 10,000 steps a day also in. And it's easy for me because I walk everywhere. Anything I do is walkable. So I think that's true. But there's a second thing you have in the city. It's actually, if you care, it's actually most places, not the poorer neighborhoods, but middle and upper class neighborhoods. It's easy to get good food. Like where I live, I can very easily, I walk to a grocery store that has all organics, pasture-raised eggs, grass-fed beef. It's all right there. Like everything, there's keto and everything that I want. The good food is easy in most good neighborhoods to get in the city. Bad neighborhoods, you have food deserts. Right. So you can't get it. Bad neighborhoods, you're stuck going to the bodega to get your food, which is all processed food. So if you're in a good neighborhood in the city, very easy to get. And the wealthy people, all their stuff gets delivered to them. So they get all the best food delivered to them. So those are the issues there. But as a second piece, people are competing heavily in the cities for everything. And you are judged by your looks on everything. You're judged to find a girlfriend or a boyfriend. You're judged to get a job. You're judged to raise money. You're judged by your looks. One of the reasons why I got as skinny as I am now was because I was considering running for mayor. Right? If you notice, I always lose weight right before I run because I'm judged by my looks. right? So I always drop a bunch of weight before I run because I've got to make sure I'm judged. I recognize if I'm New York City, they will, I mean, I'll say too, but New York City heavily, you are judged by your looks. So I think all of that combined, in my view, Phil, is why you find many people in cities are going to be thinner. That's true.
Definitely.
Can I
Because I think
push?
that, oh, sorry,
I was
just,
just going to say, can I push back a little bit on that?
Please.
Because
Yes.
yeah.
when I lived in Chicago, I walked everywhere, and I weighed 250 pounds. And so I don't
Mm.
think it was just that I walked everywhere. I mean, I
Hmm.
lived near the train. I didn't have a car. Why would you? Um, but yeah, I think sometimes there is a genetic piece to it where I am more apt to hold on to it. And it could be that I'm a female or other things like hormonal issues. But yeah, I was not skinny living in
No.
Chicago.
I want to be clear on two things, Andrea. I was saying overall, and the second piece is there's no doubt it's genetic. They've already found this out. And
Yeah.
one of the pieces you find as an example is people who are in the Pacific Islanders. Pacific Islanders are as a group more genetically predisposed. Generally speaking, you are more predisposed to being heavy if your ancestors have a large history of famine.
Hmm.
Because the people who could retain fat easiest survived the famine, the ones who couldn't died. So if your background has a heavy history of famine, you naturally can retain fat easier. You survived. The other people died during the famine. So yes, there is definitely some data behind that to prove what you're saying, Andrea. It's absolutely true.
Well, the
And,
Chicago pizza.
oh, yeah.
Yes, that too.
Chicago's a
That
big
too.
hot dog place too. I didn't realize that until I got there. One of the, because even like I know my dad when he went back to Italy in the 1960s, he was born mid 50s, and he was like head and shoulders taller than everyone else there. As a middle schooler, he was taller than all the adults because being in America, in the 50s and the 60s, this was the same I think in the Netherlands and all over Europe was they were starving. And so,
Right.
and that's why, like the Dutch went from being some of the shortest people in the world to being some of the tallest people in the world just by having enough calories. And that's a big difference between my grandparents' generation, where they were, where everyone was kind of close to starving, and my generation. But I also know too, just with ethnic foods, like my grandparents used to cook very traditional Italian food. There's a lot of vegetables in there.
Right.
You go to run, it's all pasta, breaded meats, it's a lot of breads, a lot of carbs, but beans and greens, a escarole and beans, that used to be like very common, thing that we'd have, but you rarely see that at restaurants.
Mm-hmm. Larry, I actually have to point out, I think it's not quite a rural, well, it is. I sort of agree with you, the city versus rural type, there's more better food in the city areas and especially around the block, but I have to think it's more about access to real food versus processed foods. Up here in Hudson Valley, the only thing we really have are major supermarkets, and that's it. Versus when I lived in Puerto Rico, when I was very young. I was from like when I was 10 to 13, and I lived on a farm. So I'm eating real meat, it was alive. It was walking that day, and I was eating it later that evening. I was eating real pig, real chickens, and tons of carbs, and I was the skinniest person there. And I tell people all the time, it says, I'm sorry, it's the processed foods. It's just junk food. That's a major. It's a major thing, because I'm eating carbs now, but I'm eating good carbs,
right?
And I'm losing weight. And I mean, my last physical was just 10 days ago, and my doctor was literally wanted to give me a hug. And for like years, she was always belittling me. I loved her because she didn't sugarcoat it. She's like, she basically said, you're overweight. You're going to kick, she was just on me. And like, literally, she was like a love fest. She was like my best fan. And she was like, oh, here's a hiking trail you could try by my house that my family maintains the trailhead. I said, great. It says, everything's perfect. Everything was perfect because,
nice.
And I tell her, I said, are you doing keto? I said, sort of. I'm doing high protein. I am eating carbs, but I'm also eating a lot more. I am eating sugar, but it's like real coconut, real pineapple, coconut water, and I'm eating real foods now. And I'm reading, and I'm not just eating junk food anymore. I mean, I still have a weakness. I mean, I love butter cookies. I miss my ice creams. Oh man, I miss those chips, but I don't have them in the house.
Oh, you just hit a major point, right?
Mhm.
I can't eat bad food. I won't put it in my house. So if I'm gonna eat bad food, it's at someone else's house. Like I'm gonna go hang out with Andrea and see if we can have some bad food. See if I can get her to give me some bad food,
Well,
because I'm not
there's
gonna
no
have it in my
bad
house.
food in my house, or else
I guess we're
it's
going to a
gone.
restaurant, Andrea. Me and you, we going to a restaurant, have some bad food. We'll have some what Phil's, have some pasta and some pizza. We'll do that. But yes, but that's the only way. I'm with you, Juan. I don't put it in my house. I have to work to go get processed food. Like I've got to work to get it. I completely agree.
Well, there used to be a lot more, and I mean, I know around where you live, Juan, and where I live up here, there were a lot of farms that specialized in, like, they used to grow vegetables for, this area. And a lot of that, the tomato farms and all that, it's all just corn and soy now.
Yes.
And there's not very, and I guess we can kind of talk about that as it relates to government policy. But it used to be that we would grow, squash and zucchini and all this stuff and transport it within a few days. And this is actually something that I've kind of started to switch over to frozen vegetables, because I know that I can't get that. Like I can't, as a single person living by myself, like I can't eat all of the fresh vegetables quick enough before it goes bad. So I've also heard too that a lot of times the frozen vegetables, because it goes from the field to the freezer within a couple hours or whatever, it actually holds in a lot of the nutrients better than a lot of what we consider fresh food.
Fast freezing. It's called fast freezing. Yes, that's true. Mm-hmm. The fast freezing process is much better than it's ever been. Recently, a lot of people are moving to that for the exact reason, Phil. You're correct. That is true. The fast freezing depends on, like, obviously, if you're Juan in Puerto Rico, you're picking the vegetable and eating it, well, he got you beat on that one. But if you're not picking the vegetable and eating it, fast freezing is not a bad idea.
Right.
Well,
absolutely true.
And I find the convenience of having the frozen foods there is really helpful. And then, like you said, you're not wasting it because you're only cooking as much as you need. It's not perishable when it's frozen. So I think that's key.
Yeah. I think there's something else that's kind of difficult sometimes too, right? I remember my mom was always concerned about having enough food in the house. My mom grew up very poor and dealt with starvation. So she always in her head, like we always had like a separate freezer full of food. We always like a separate thing. She was always like scared that she had to have food always in the house. And because of that, she would buy tons of food. But if you have a lot of good food, it goes bad because it doesn't have preservatives in it. Right. This is to Phil's point. It goes bad. So you have to shop more often or shop smarter or something, or the food goes bad. Like the food actually goes bad because there's no preservatives in it. So it is actually a little bit more challenging if you're accustomed to saying, oh, I go to Costco every 3 weeks, right? If you're accustomed to that, it's a big change. Unless, to your point, Andrea, you get a lot of frozen food. Then you can kind of do that.
And I buy a half cow. So I find it more economical to buy a half cow. And so,
Did you say you buy a half a cow?
Yes.
That's what I thought she said too.
No, yeah, that's what my grandparents used to do the same thing too, because it's a lot cheaper. And actually, what's really crazy too is that's the only way you can buy meat directly from the farmer too.
Right. Yes. So let me touch that, Phil. You just brought up two pieces I want to bring up. This is a government policy issue. Number one, one of the things I focused on when I ran for governor was the idea of ending the idea that if you are a local farmer and you only sell within a state, that you are now immune from all federal regulatory bodies. And people say, that's a terrible idea, but getting rid of federal regulation. No. That's why the small farmers are dying, because the small farmers have to follow federal guidelines. So in New York State, I don't know about the rest of the country, but in New York State, you literally basically can't slaughter and cut up your animals legally because you have to follow the same guidelines the big boys follow, which you can't follow. So you can't slaughter your animal. You can't do it that way. You can't. It's against the law. You will be fined and or go to jail. So you can't do it. The second piece is when you also are able to have to do farm to table very easily if you get rid of federal guidelines, right? Just let people know I'm not following federal guidelines. If you trust federal guidelines, don't buy from that person. If you are smart and don't give crap about them because they're just made to make big business good, right? Then you'll follow them. The reason why so many of these farmers, Phil, have become, and they call themselves this, they say, I have become a Monsanto farm. They say that. And the reason why they say it is they can't survive without it. So they have two choices: sell their farm off, option one. And many people, as you know, Juan, you know, up there in upstate, Phil, you know it too, are selling their farms off. That's option one. Option two, my farm's been my family for 6 generations. I don't want to get rid of it. I guess I'm a Monsanto farm now. And I'm selling, and I'm doing soy and corn because that's what they're paying me to do. So I'll do what the government's paying me to do, soy and corn. The government's telling me to go to Monsanto because that's the cheapest one I could get. That's how I can pay my bills and keep my farm without having to have a second or third job. So now I'm Monsanto farm. And to your point, Phil, they would rather be the local tomato farm, the local squash farm. They'd rather, because that's what their grandma did. That's what grandpa did. Yeah, it's true.
Well, and now I'm down in central Illinois, and that's all I see is soy and corn, and with all the Monsanto and GMO and all those things. So
100%.
I find it very disheartening.
Me too.
But I grow my own vegetables because I have a little bit of yard and get a half cow. But yeah, it's hard.
Well, central Illinois is basically upstate New York.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, basically the same thing, right? Yeah, Illinois goes north to south. We go south to north. Same thing.
Although you guys don't have the mountains. You got to come and visit our mountains. So
that's true. We do got mountains on you. We do have mountains on you. That we got.
No mountains here.
Yes.
I was looking at a college in Ohio, and I couldn't get my bearing in Ohio because it's just so flat. It's like up here in the Albany area, I can see, okay, Catskills over there.
Yes.
Over there, Adirondacks over there, and I can kind of figure out my bearings from there. But it's just, amber waves of grain as far as the eye can see.
Yes, absolutely. Let me grab a couple comments if I could. If I can grab a couple of these, if I could. It looks like IC likes. She says, Juan, you get extra points for that shirt. Yes,
thank you.
That's true. He does. That is accurate. Yes, absolutely. 100%.
It's what all the bad boys wear.
That's right. We're the bad boys. All the girls love us. It's true. Yes. Robert says, carnivore has been a game changer for me. A lot of people have found, and I'll give you my story. Some of you may know my story, but I'll give it to you anyway. So you'll see. Most of us, when we make a change like this, there's like a big deal, like something hit us, right? We had a problem. We failed at something. Someone came to us. Something happened. For me, it was the same thing. In 2010, I had a horrible time. This worst year I ever had. My youngest daughter almost died. She had to have open heart surgery at 18 days old. My wife packed up and moved into the hospital and left me alone by myself and my 6-year-old daughter, who I was not the primary caregiver. All of a sudden, I was a single dad overnight when I was not the primary caregiver. Same time, I was finally going under. My business was collapsing from the 2009 collapse. I finally couldn't stay afloat anymore. In 2010, my business was going under. And the same week, my mom gets diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. Everything in 1 week. I was an absolute mess. And I did exactly what I told you guys. I ate everything. I just ate and I ate. And I remember this in my head and how I was so completely broken and blinded. I would have an entire pizza and a 2-liter of regular Coke for lunch and think, that's normal. Everybody does that. That's a normal lunch for everybody. Like in my mind, I fooled myself into believing that being completely fine. Like, of course, everyone does that. We all drink a 2-liter of Coke, right, for lunch, don't we? And we all have a full pizza, all the slices, the whole thing, the whole pie. Of course we do. We all do that. And I was thinking that was normal. And there was no one around me to say, what's wrong with you? My wife is in the hospital with my daughter. She's not going to go, something's wrong with you. My daughter was 6. She had no idea what was right or wrong. She's like, we're having pizza again. Yay. She didn't care, right? So there was no one there to tell me, dude, something's wrong with you. You got a problem, man. You're falling apart here. All of a sudden, I got to get myself back in action to rebuild my life. And I physically cannot fit into my suits. I had put so much weight on that I had no clothes to wear. And that is trying to put my clothes on was my, what have you done moment. That was I hit my bottom. I can't go make money for my family now. Like, okay, you got to do something. So I thought to myself, because I played with the blood type diet, years before that. I played with the Atkins diet. I put all different type of diets. And I thought the one that I thought was going to be easy, meaning simple to do, but challenging, so that it would give me some semblance of success. I thought, I'll go no carb. I went fanatical no carb, just fanatical no carb. Like I was like eggs, steak, water, like fanatical. I dropped like 40 pounds in like 2 months. My highest was 240. That was my highest. And I'd gone down to like 200 pounds in like 2 months, and I could fit in my stuff. I could fit again. I could like that. I was like 210 before. So my stuff was too big at that point. Right. So I'd gone further down than I was when I first started. And then I changed, and my whole lifestyle has been that way forever. Now I'm down to like 180. So I'm even lower than I've been in the past. I'm down to 180 now. So, and that's because I've been slowly I just stay on it. I just slowly lose weight a little bit. I put on weight last year because I was stressed last year. And then because after my 2022 debacle that many of you watched me get my ass kicked, that did not go over well in 2023. But then 2024 this year, I started going back on, and you see it slowly come off again. But that's how I got on. That was my push. Robert went to carnivore, and carnivore is even harder core than keto. And I know a lot of people who are on carnivore, and they love carnivore. They eat like steak and butter, and like that's all they eat. Like that's it, right? Steak and butter.
I don't see what's wrong. I really don't see what's wrong with that. Except for I have to have my bacon. I'm sorry.
Okay. Andrea, are you carnivore? Are you paleo? Where are you right now?
I am clean keto, so I will have vegetables and tomatoes. Tomatoes are fruit to me. So
they are fruit.
Yeah.
Tomatoes and peppers are fruit. It's true.
Yes. So I do eat my fruits. I like avocado, peppers, tomatoes, zucchinis. Those are all fruit.
There we go. I like that. Continue says they said Cheerios are healthier than eggs and bacon. Bull crap.
They
did say that. She's right though. They said it.
Yeah, they did. Right. They said Lucky Charms was healthier than eggs. I'm like, that's absolutely absurd.
My daughter came home from school and she told me, she goes, Dad, you eat a lot of eggs. I said, yeah, every day. She goes, having an egg is like having a cigarette. That's what she told me. They told her that in school. I'm not joking. They said having an egg is like having a cigarette. That's how bad it is. I'm like, man, I've been smoking a lot. I didn't know how much I was smoking. I didn't realize.
Well, that's why you lost weight.
Yeah,
that's why I lost weight. I was smoking. That's why. Yep.
Larry, do you remember those commercials when they said they would have like a breakfast cereal and a piece of breaded toasted and a tall glass of orange juice? Every commercial had that, a well-balanced breakfast, and they never showed eggs.
Yeah,
they never showed eggs.
No,
it was either a bowl of cereal, toast, and like a 500-calorie glass of orange juice.
Yes. A glass of pure sugar, tons of useless carbs, and more useless carbs with coloring in it. That's a balanced breakfast. I got all the colors in. I got like red 40. I got blue 25. I'm balanced. I got all the colors. We're good.
Well, there's a great line from my cousin Vinny when he goes to when Vinny goes to the cook and he goes, haven't you all heard of the cholesterol problem down here in the South? Like, and just because that was a big thing that when I was, in the 90s, watch your cholesterol. Don't eat eggs. Don't eat meat. Don't eat red meat. Eat just plain, chicken without the fat on it. It was my dad always joked around that we would always eat boneless, skinless, tasteless chicken. So it was. And it was just this thing where, it was always the because the cholesterol thing was, and I think it was because heart disease as well. And but it always kind of struck me kind of weird because I'd hear about people like the Eskimo who would eat like whale blubber all the time, and seal blubber, and they weren't dying of excessive amounts of heart attack. People suggested maybe it was because of the cold, but it was just always kind of weird that like hunter gatherers and people who lived primarily off of meat didn't have the same type of heart disease problems.
Phil, for me, years ago, this is when I first did Atkins and lost my first big weight loss. I actually had a doctor concerned that I was on Atkins, but he was confused because my cholesterol went down.
Yep.
And he was confused. This is like 10 or 15 years ago. He's like, well, maybe you should have a little more. He was actually trying to get me off Atkins a little bit. And I, at that point, I lost like 60 pounds. And I was this is great. I've been fighting the weight loss battle forever since I was like 25. The minute I went to college, I was ballooned up, and I've been doing that yo-yo diet for like 30 years. And Atkins was the first one that break that constant weight loss thing. And I remember doctor really was sort of like, he didn't say get off it, but he was clearly confused that I was eating bacon, spam, eggs, and losing all this weight in Atkins. And he was like, well, your cholesterol went down. You don't need medication anymore. That's good. So, but he still wanted me to eat
my doctor literally tried to get me off so she could put me on it. She literally said, I'm not joking. She literally was like, no, that's not her. What she said is, you can't stay on this. These diets don't work. You have to go on the drug. That's what she told me. She's like, with the diets, you can't keep a diet. It's impossible. So you got to go on a drug. Meanwhile, when she told me the last time she told me this, I had been doing keto, I don't know, 6 years. And she was like, you can't sustain it. 6 years. I think I can. Some people can't, but clearly I can, right? Yeah. I'm fine. 6 years. I've been good. I'm good. So, but no, you can't. You're going to have to, because to your point, Juan, I used to have higher cholesterol, but then I went on this and it went down. And she was like, oh, it went down, but you can't keep it. So the drug to her was a better option than diet. Is that crazy?
Yeah.
Well, they're just taught to write scripts anymore. That seems to be what the medical industrial complex wants to do. And that's what they're doing in medical school. They're teaching them to write scripts, not to actually fix people with food. And if you look back in the back days, you look at the Native Americans. Did they eat processed food? No, there was none. And there was no heart disease, and they were healthy. So how can they say, well, we need to eat more grains, when that's not what the indigenous people were eating? They were eating venison and meat and buffalo and fat and all those things. So I think it's absurd when we're told by the healthcare providers to get off of these natural foods and go on to these fake food. Fake.
Let me grab thank you, Peace, for the $5. Thank you for the super chat. How about those airtight seals? Suck the air out. Any experience with these machines? Effective? I have had a little bit, and it was like my mom did it actually. And like you put the thing in and like you use like a zipper thing, it like seals it shut with like, I think it was a heat or something. I forgot what it was, but it sucks the air out and then it seals it, right? My mom loved it. I don't know. I've never used it. My mom did. She loved it. And she would then freeze it because my mom would freeze everything. She froze everything. So she would take the food, put it in the thing, zip it, cook it. And then she'd actually do things like she'd make like chili and like put the chili in the bag and then zip it with that, take the thing out and then freeze the chili. So that's what I got. Did anybody here use these things at all?
Yeah,
I use it for my garden.
Oh, you do? Nice. Well, there we go, Peace. By the way, since I got you guys up here watching Peace, do me a favor. Click the button. It is that very important button that I bug you about clicking all the time. Lima, India, Kilo, Echo. Yes, like. That's the button. Do it. It's important. Elbow smash that thing. Do it. Absolutely. Whatever it takes. Just do it. Why? Because I put government bad on this. They're going to, Larry's bad. They're gonna shadow ban me as always. Please do it. If you're watching on Twitter or Facebook, please share it wherever you're gonna share it, all over the place. If you are on Facebook, please make sure you're following me. Follow me. If you are on YouTube, please subscribe. And they say, Larry, I subscribed already. They unsubscribe you all the time. I'm not joking. I know already. I lost over 50 subscribers just last month. And it wasn't because I changed what I was doing. It's because YouTube said, oh, you guys are bots, and unsubscribed. It happens all the time. Constantly. If you want to super chat me like you just saw Peace do, please do so. Super chat me on YouTube, Larry Sharpe, or on YouTube, Sharpe Way. And of course, you can also become a member. $5 per month keeps us going to the best of my ability. I do more of this and less working. And I know I'm always working. That's why I'm late half the damn time. But that's okay. It's okay. This does help. So if you could do that, that will be amazing. So no matter what, click the button. It's like, and something else I want to ask you. Follow these people too. Right? You can follow Juan, you can follow Phil. I put all the details on the Facebook page. I put all the details on a YouTube channel. I'll put all the details on Rumble. The details are right there. Follow them. See what you're doing. Now, Andrea doesn't want you to follow her, but she comes on this show all the time. So yap at her when she's on this show. You can just comment right at her and she'll respond sometimes. But she'll usually respond if you just do it. So it's all good. So guys, please do that if you would. I would appreciate it. It does matter tremendously. In fact, let me give you real fast if I could. You can follow Juan at Juan for Freedom on X, Facebook, and Instagram. You can follow Phil on Adopt Night. It's like in a fighting night, KN.
Yeah, Adopted Night. Yeah.
Adopted Night on X. And also Phil Vecchio with 2 C's. That's the cool Vecchio, 2 C's on Instagram. So I guess the piece that I'm glad we brought up was the idea of how we've made things get better, right, on ourselves. Kinsugi says, good work, Juan. Love that. Paul's on top too. My hiking brother-in-law, go Juan. Love that also. Yes. But IC brings up something, the intermittent fasting piece. She says that's easy for her. Keto for her is difficult. The fasting piece is very interesting. AC brings up fasting. He did a 36-hour fast, which I know I've done a couple of those in the past before. And he also talks about doing OMAD. For those of you who don't know what OMAD is 1 meal a day. You basically do 24-hour fasting, 24-hour fasting. You eat 1 meal per day. I got to tell you, in my view, at first, intermittent fasting was very hard for me. But again, I say I'm a slave to my calendar. Once I put that in my calendar, easy. Now I intermittent fast all the time. I usually do 18-6. That's my norm. OMAD for me now, since I've been doing intermittent fasting, has now also become easy for me. I just got to skip 1 meal and I've got OMAD. I just skip 1 meal and I have OMAD. So I've done a couple OMADs here or there. 36-hour fasts for me are challenging. 48, easy. I can do those easy. 36 is challenging for me. Andrea, you've been nodding your head the whole time. Tell me what you're thinking here.
Well, I find that, let's say you do slip up and have more carbs or sugar or whatever, to get back into ketosis, the best thing to do is a 24-hour fast to get yourself back into it. And so I think fasting is part of the key. And also you think about the American guidelines is they want you to eat 6-7 times a day.
Yes.
And that's just absolutely insane. Cutting it down to 2 larger meals will do you so much good with food that will actually sustain you. So like meat and vegetables and things that will actually keep you fuller longer and not give you such a sugar hike.
Yes, absolutely. 100%. Juan, are you a faster or no?
Yes, I am. Yeah, I have. I just started up about 3 weeks ago. And I generally have 3 meals. My first meal is generally at 12. I generally have my big meal at 3, and then I generally have a light meal at 6. That's generally my calendar now. I try to, for me, that's really been helpful than trying to go pure keto or Atkins, because when I was doing that for a little while and hiking, I was really just literally running out of gas. And so I actually learned to actually have big meals the day before a hike. And then I would be satisfied. And that, believe it or not, I wouldn't be that hungry even after the hike, which you generally are, but not fat. You're furious, and for me, drinking a lot of water and salt with the salt tablets, it keep me from getting dehydrated. So for me,
you just brought up that piece, brother. The salt's not bad for us either.
No.
Like they tell you, I have so much salt. I put salt on everything. Like if I could, I'd probably put it in my coffee if I could. Like I put salt in everything. I eat tons of salt.
You think about it, and the processed food has tons and tons and tons more salt in it. So when you move to a keto or a clean keto or whatever, you're actually eliminating a lot of that salt. And so you need to bring it back. So you're actually getting more salt in regular American way of eating. Yeah.
Correct. No, for me, I was having a lot of issues with muscle spasms. It would just burn.
Lost one.
That if I started drinking salt during the hike, I went from going 4 or 5 miles fine to doing 10 miles without an issue.
Wow.
And I wasn't sore the next day. So for me, if I mess up, and also I've also started taking potassium and magnesium at night, and that also seems to balance out. So like, and if I forget to take those and I go on a hike, the next day I'll pay for it. Like, oh, I'm really, really hurting. But for me, it's just about eating right. And I'm trying to cut down to 2 meals a day. I think I'm getting there. But it's sort of funny, but when I wait till 12 o'clock, I'm not really hungry. So I generally have my big meal at 3 because I don't want my big meal at 6. And by eating my big meal at 3 and my light meal at 6, I'm not having issues falling asleep anymore. I'm not having digestive problems anymore. I'm giving my body a chance to digest the food before I go to bed.
I gotta grab something real fast. This is from Rumble. It's right in. He says magnesium and copper help me with cramps. I think a lot. I started taking magnesium too. I thought that was gonna. I didn't recognize how important magnesium was because I think I was getting enough in my normal. When I was eating like garbage, I had tons of it, right? So I think I really had to change. I do take a supplement for magnesium now, which I did not before. I have moved to do that now because I think I'm with you on that one. I am. Phil, you've been quiet, brother. Did we say something?
No. I mean, I'm trying to figure out like what my relationship is, and because before I was going to the hospital, I was having basically one big meal a day, and so and because for me it is a thing where like once I eat for the first time, that's when I start getting hungry. So I'm trying to, I think this is something that I'm trying to figure out for myself. I do know that like when I have like eggs and bacon, or what I really love is steak and eggs, and that's something that it's something that I've just kind of started to do, and that's something that like, the thing is though is when I have steak and eggs, I do feel hungry, but it's because I feel like my like I feel like I feel like a teenager again, kind of. It's kind of like a teenager hunger, if that makes sense. Where I'm like, oh, like I know I'm full, but it's kind of like this thing where it's like, oh, my body's starting to like work better and stuff like that. So I'm still trying to figure it out because I went to after I got out of the hospital, I went to a dietitian. They're like, oh, well, you've got like you guys were saying, like 6 meals a day, 6 small meals a day, and
Bill,
so you don't.
If I could give you my opinion on this, it's just my view. Anyone who is a licensed dietitian, if they honestly think that their license they got has value, it doesn't have any value. If they got it as a marketing tool, but then don't use it, that's good, right? They got it as a marketing tool so people would go to them, but they then don't use the stuff they learned. That's a good thing. But if they actually think the stuff they learned is valuable, that's not a good dietitian. I'm gonna give you my opinion on the second piece. It's gonna sound so cheesy, but I don't care. I'm gonna say it anyway. The internet is your friend.
Definitely.
Literally, there are YouTube doctors who are far better than any dietitian you will ever find. You can just watch like 6 YouTube videos. Right? Off the top of my head, Dr. Berg talks about it. Ekberg talks about it. Weston does, but there's so many of them, right? There's
well, and I think that like weightlifters for me are kind of like people who are like are competitive athletically are kind of my go-to because they are very practical in terms of like they're very knowledgeable and have a lot of application of nutrition and performance. Yeah. So this is a perfect example of this, and he is a doctor. It'd be someone like Huberman. And I think Joe Rogan is also big on this too, and I think someone like Joe Rogan and I think people like to dismiss him very easily, but what he's doing with MMA is, and even with his own life, it's applied science, and so that's something that is when you see somebody who's actually like going through and applying it well, and so that's something where like I can definitely see, like I can definitely appreciate, like because I think that's something that I'm not. And I don't know if it's good for me to do like one specific thing, but it's just kind of, I think like Juan's saying is kind of, and I think like you said too, Larry, is just viewing food as fuel, and then just kind of figuring out, well, what, where do I need to be fueled?
Let me touch my last piece about good for this, Phil.
Yeah.
Know that people won't tell you this. They don't want to say it, but it's true. Food is emotional for almost all of us. There's some exceptions, but the vast majority of us, food is emotional, right? So I celebrate, let's have food. I'm happy, let's have food. I'm sad, let's have food, right? Something happens, let's have food. So it is emotional on top of that. And we have to understand there are triggers. I tell this all the time. I do this when I do coaching in general for most people. They say, Larry, I'm so worried about X, Y, and Z. I say, okay, when do you know what's going to happen? Well, I know I'm going to be mad at my boss. Why? Well, because my boss always says X. So you know your boss says X. Yes. Okay, so I'm asking you right now. When your boss says X, what are you going to say? I'm going to get mad. No, tell me right now. Let's plan. When your boss says the thing you hate, what are you going to say? Well, it always makes me angry. I'm aware of that. Please stop fighting me. Tell me what you're going to say. Well, what should I say? How about you go, thanks, boss. Let me get back to you. I've got to go. I got to take a phone call. Oh, good idea. Say that. So I prep them so they're ready for the trigger. And
Definitely.
the boss says the thing that pisses them off, and they know to say they go. So what I would say for anybody who has a situation where when the thing happens, I want to eat, figure out now, I know when the trigger happens, it's emotional. And when it happens, what will I do? Right? I helped my mom to quit smoking, and it wasn't the best thing, but it worked. She did quit smoking. I said, when that happens, put an old, I'm not joking, I told her, put an old lollipop stick, keep them, and put it in your mouth. Because she would like touch her face when she got stressed because she used to put a cigarette in her mouth. So she put that in her mouth. She sit in her mouth. And it was just hanging out of her mouth. And she stopped smoking. That wasn't the only thing that happened. Many things. But that was a trigger, right? So when you have an emotional trigger, plan now. What will you do? It won't work perfectly. But over time, you will see it work.
Well, and it really bothers me too, because, you know, when I got out of the hospital, I went to a bariatric practice, and basically they said, you have to do surgery or else. And that was basically the only, they were like, well, we're going to do, they were like, we're going to do the food and the nutrition stuff first, because you still need to lose weight before we can do any of the surgery options. But they said, you need to do, like, they said, the only option, according to the studies, is the surgery. And it really disturbed me that this is like, because because it is a holistic thing, and this was something that you know, I really wanted to try to see maybe sometime in the future was like, you know, because I knew that for part of it is because it is that emotional thing, and there's not like because, you know, and I think that thinking about it as an addiction, because it's been really helpful to me listening to people like comedian Dave Landau, who talks a lot about his alcohol addiction and stuff like that.
Yes,
and it's been really interesting hearing, you know, because this food is like a socially acceptable addiction to have.
Phil, I'm going to tell you something that's going to sound funny. It is actually better if you are addicted to crack than if you're addicted to food, because you can avoid crack. You can't avoid food.
You can't avoid.
Yes.
Well, and then you talk
food.
about all the additives that they put in the food to make it more addictive. They want you to eat more. You can't just eat one, right?
Yep.
So they want it to the bliss point.
Once you pop, the fun don't stop, right? That's
and look, and the samples, I said it earlier. Why did I eat an entire pizza? Because it worked.
Well, it felt
Why
good.
did I suck down Coke? Because it worked. Right? Again, an hour or two later, I was in the same crappy spot I was in before. But for that hour, it worked. I felt better. I mean, my drug worked. That's why I took it. I took my drug because it worked. That's why I did it. So yes, is that wrong?
That was something that is kind of has kind of been my goal for the past year, and I haven't really been very laser focused on it as much. But I really wanted to keep on losing weight to get to a point. Also, and I talked with my physical therapist about this in the hospital, because there really isn't, because I was like, well, listen, I wouldn't have gone to the hospital if there was some place where, like, because I was thinking, like, well, isn't there like kind of like a drug rehab place for weight loss? And there really isn't. There's not a lot of those places. Not that I wasn't able to really find anything that was like geared towards that. And, you know, there's a lot of empty farmland up here in upstate New York.
Hold on, Phil. I'm hearing a business project.
This was a business project. Yeah. This was a business idea of mine, because, like, you know, this was something that, like, if instead of, like, you know, again, somebody going to the hospital and doing this,
no,
you know.
Hold on, Phil. Juan's in between us. Maybe Juan's area is where we got to set this little thing up. He's in between both of us, right? Right.
So the Catskills would be perfect.
You're near Albany, and I'm near New York City. Maybe we got to find a spot near Juan, and we're gonna bring Andrea over too.
I would
absolutely.
Yeah.
We're all good.
By the way, I have to agree, Larry. I got to agree with that food addict. I'm still a food addict, and let me tell you two things I do that's really I'm so embarrassed to admit this, but I have to admit this a little bit. My dentist was getting on my case about my cleaning. So I actually have a dental floss inside the office. And whenever I have the urge to eat, I'll just start flossing.
There we
So
go.
I'm flossing 2 or 3 times. And it distracts me because I realize I'm not hungry.
Right.
Mm.
I just want some like someone who's addicted to cigarettes. I just want some kind of fix. So and then I'll floss. I'll go brush my teeth, and then I got clean teeth. I don't want to eat. I just brush my teeth and floss it. And the other thing too was drink water. I have water. I have tons of water. I hike. I drink. And then if I'm hungry, I'll start drinking, and then go, yeah, I'm not that hungry. Like, so there have been times where oh, I'm hungry. I really want some bacon and eggs. Like, I can wait another hour. Man, drink some water. I'm fine. And
what's your guys' opinion on Crystal Light?
I'm not a fan.
I drink water.
Okay.
But if that's what you need to drink water, I say go for it.
100%. Look, I got to be clear on something. Let me be very clear. Yes. Oh, thank you. You read my mind, Andrea. Sorry, you read my mind. Every little bit you can take. I remember many doctors saying this, and I say this when I talk to people all the time. I say, okay, what's the first thing you have to do to move forward? Larry, there's so much I get done. I didn't ask that question. I asked you, what's the first thing? But it's so much. I didn't ask that question. What's the first thing? Well, the first thing is I got to call my mom. Okay, schedule calling your mom tomorrow. Just do that. Do not just call your mom. That's it. So I'm asking you to call your mom. Nothing else. I'm not asking everything else. So what I'm saying is if you decide, as an example, I'm just going to stop drinking soda. Done. That's good. I'm not, okay. Don't worry about getting the water. Let's stop drinking soda first. Then we'll move to the next thing. Andrea's 100% correct. I would say just stop having processed food. Just stop. Eat the carbs. Just no process first. There's a guy I know who talks all the time about the idea. He says the number one thing you want to start doing is just start making your own food at home. Like whatever you have, if you even have carbs, even whatever, candy, cake, but make the cake. Like bake the damn cake. Like make the cookies. You want to have cookies? Make them. You want to have something? Make it. If you start making it, you start thinking about what you're eating. It changes your mindset and it goes, do I really need to make another cake now? Maybe and you start thinking about that. And I got to tell you, now it is very rare I eat out. I cook, my daughter and I, my daughter's on keto too. Both of us, we cook our meals every day. We cook every day. We once in a while we go out, maybe like once every couple of weeks. We cook our meals every day. We eat together for breakfast. We eat together for dinner. We cook and we eat together. So I'm sorry, I went on, but Andrea, I didn't mean to cut you off, but you're exactly what I was thinking. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I would say when I went keto, what I did was I started drinking Diet Dr. Pepper, right? So I love Dr. Pepper. So I went to Diet Dr. Pepper. And then I saw, well, why am I drinking this? This has some stuff. I don't know what's in it. And then I weaned myself off the Diet Dr. Pepper. So I would say with the Crystal Light, if that's going to get you off of the sugary soda, go for it. And then start watering down that Crystal Light to where you don't need it anymore.
Yeah, because I know that I'm like because I've always been the kind of I've always been okay with the diet stuff. So I've always drank the diet soda and stuff like that. So I've been starting. I realized how cheap bottled water is. You can get like that. If you're looking for the convenience of something like let's say forget to fill up a water bottle or something like that. It's just convenient to have water bottle. And I know that there's people who have questions about plastics and whatever else too and stuff like that. But I found that just like getting you can get like 30 or 40 bottles of water for like $5. You actually end up paying more for the deposit in New York State than you do for the water.
That's true. So, yes. Let me grab, if I could, some more of these super chats. I'm sorry. Peace goes on to say, even $5. I felt amazing with a 30-hour fast. I was shocked. More energy. When I'm done the fast, I do feel very good about myself and everything. But a 36-hour fast, I've done it before. I actually did a 48-hour, I did a 72-hour fast once, more than once, and I'm okay with that. 48 hours is my normal fast. It can be challenging, though, to do these hours. It can be challenging, but I always feel better once I'm done. I agree with them. Let me grab Daniel. He says, Juan Ayala is the main for Vecchio as well. Well, there we go. Thank you for the $10, Donnelly. I do appreciate it, my friend. I do want to grab one thing because you have pissed off Pink about Andrea. I just want to make sure you know pissed her off. Diet Dr. Pepper is an insult to Dr. Pepper. Just saying. You have made her angry.
I loved regular Dr. Pepper, but I had to give up the sugar.
No, I
agree.
Diet Dr. Pepper is pretty good. Diet Dr. Pepper.
Here we go.
Yeah.
Yes. Pinkerbell says, can someone explain the difference between Atkins and keto, please? And the reality of it is, as a general rule, they're pretty much the same.
Mm-hmm.
They're close.
Atkins was basically the guy who kind of started this. He was the name on this.
Mm-hmm.
And then from that, everything else kind of popped from that. If you go back about 30 years, maybe, give or take, everything was called Atkins, right? It was just called Atkins, whatever it was. It was called Atkins because he was kind of the guy who kind of started. He was the more popular guy. He wrote the book. Since that, there's been a lot of shifts off of it, and carnivore, paleo, keto. But I think he was kind of the beginning, and everyone kind of thought it was that. But there are some differences. Andrew, do you want to bring up a couple of them?
Well, the differences from Atkins to like the Atkins I learned, it was net carbs, and I found that very confusing, and it was hard to keep track of. Whereas Dr. Westman, who wrote the book, The Atkins Diet, Atkins actually started by Dr. Atkins. He was a famous doctor in New York City, treating a lot of wealthy people. And Dr. Westman got in touch with Dr. Atkins after all this research that he had done from the VA and seeing all these results from the VA. But basically, what Dr. Westman has done is taken the premise of the Atkins diet and changed it to the keto diet, and keto just means ketosis.
Yeah.
So the Atkins diet was a way of eating that Dr. Atkins advocated for, and keto is a way of eating to keep your body in ketosis.
Correct.
There we go. I appreciate that. Right. Yes. So the AC says, and do you drink soda, Andrea? Do you drink any soda now?
I don't drink soda anymore. No.
There we go.
Now I have to admit, I do drink Diet Coke once in a while because I feel that I like to reward myself. I still like Diet Coke. And so I always tell people, like, to me, it's always about achievable goals. If I slip one day, that's fine. And to me, if I stay on my diet 6 out of 7 days, it's a win. I'm down from 12 cans to 1 can every 2-3 days. That's a win. So if you want to do Crystal Light, baby steps. For me, when I did the weight loss thing, I did threw everything at the window. I started little goals. Cut out the Diet Coke, cut out the processed foods, go hiking, walk. I did all that stuff, and all these little things I did achieved my weight loss for the past year and a half.
Well, I would say that the soda stopped probably about year 1.5, 2 for me. I've been on this for 4 years, so it took a while. It wasn't an instantaneous process.
I'll probably be there soon. I'm down to one can pretty much every other day now. But I still
congrats.
I still miss my Diet Coke. Miss my Diet Coke.
Coffee?
Yes.
Do you guys drink coffee? Because I'm not a big fan of coffee, though. Yeah. So that's the thing is, like, when I'm trying to get my my caffeine in the main vein, it's it's usually like sugar-free energy drinks, like some of the Monster sugar-free,
Do you like?
I chug coffee.
No,
I love coffee.
Coffee is chug
coffee.
Yeah.
Now
I have
I've been good.
Machine. Perfect.
I've been good. When I ran in 2018, you guys remember what a monster I was then. When I was done running in 2018, I'm gonna give you a true story. I was having at the end 9 cups of coffee a day. I'm not joking. I was having 9 a day. I was just chugging it. Now you might go, is it bad? I was, again, delusional. I deluded myself many times. And in this one, I was like, I'll just stop. You can't stop when you have been having 9 cups of coffee a day. I thought, I'm super cool. I'll just stop. That's not how it worked. I couldn't function. I had to Andrea's point, I had to wean myself to just 6 a day. And then I weaned myself down. Now I have 1 or 2 a day, to be forward with you. But I like coffee. I pump my coffee up full of stuff in the morning. It's like a mix of garbage I put in it. I eat my coffee in the morning, and I generally have maybe 1 more cup during the day, but I used to have a lot. I'm a big fan of coffee. That's just me.
Yeah.
Well, and I was going to ask Phil, do you like tea? Do you like tea at all?
I do like tea. Yeah. And I'll drink tea from time to time. It's just generally it's just in terms of grabbing something quick. Like sometimes I'll like a Diet Coke or something.
iced tea and have that ready for yourself if you're not a coffee person. If you
Okay.
want some caffeine in the morning, that would be
Yeah.
a good alternative.
Well, the other thing, if you need a sweet treat, right? I still have coffee because coffee is my sweet treat. I don't have sugar in anything, but I usually, when I have coffee, I'll throw some stevia in it. So I will often have some stevia in my coffee. Not always, but most of the time. I've also used, but believe it or not, raw cocoa. Raw cocoa isn't very sweet, but it changes the flavor of the coffee, a little bit of flavor. So I can put some raw cocoa in it here or there. It depends how I feel in the mornings, but I might put a little bit of raw cocoa and a little bit of stevia. It's sweet enough for me. A little bit of flavor. It's perfect. Takes care of me. And if I get stressed or I'm having a hard work day, I'll want a snack. So I'll often have coffee as my snack with some stevia or some cocoa in it. So I get a sweet fix. So it kind of takes care of my sweet tooth. And that's how I take care of it. So if I have 3 cups of coffee in a day, I'm very stressed. That's why I've had 3 cups, because that's been my snack. Usually I have 1 or 2, but once in a while I'll have 3. Juan's using the floss. I should copy him. That's a better one. But I usually get coffee. That's my snack.
Yeah, from time to time, like sometimes if I'm sick, I'll put in like a little bit of local honey and stuff like that too, because I know that especially if I've got allergies, I know that local honey is supposed to be good for that. So
yeah, that's true. Also, let me grab a quick Rumble rant. This is Joel. Joel says this is a good panel. Those Larry Sharpe followers are some smart cookies, not real cookies. Those aren't keto. He is correct. Well done, Joel. Well done. So Kim says bacon fried mushrooms, 4 to 5 eggs scrambled. One of my favorite breakfasts. I am loving that.
That doesn't hurt my feelings. Nope.
Yes.
Yep.
Oh, good. Absolutely. 100%. So it's funny. She says then her top weight was 280.
Yeah. Mine was
Wow.
270. Yeah.
Wow.
Mine was way above that. Mine was 360.
Wow.
I was up when I went into the hospital. I weighed 640 pounds, and I got down to 500 pounds. So I've still got a long way to go. So my goal is I was hoping that by the end of the year I'd be down closer to 400, but I've still got ways to go. And so if I get down to 300, maybe we can start talking about a weight loss center and stuff like that. And
No,
now
great.
you have to.
Just take my money. Take my money.
Yes, you have to now. Phil, you got to now. Now you messed up. Now you messed up. Now we got a business model coming up here. See, so yes, and you got to do it. You got to make sure you're there right after the election of 2026.
definitely.
You got to have this ready for us to kick off in 2027.
And here's the thing with that too is I really think that, and again we can bring it back to government regulations. It's really interesting to see, having had to go to more doctors in the past years, how much the business model isn't around giving care, but it's around insurance, and a lot of that is Medicare and Medicaid based regulation. And so this is and again, because I know I worked in HR for a little bit, and I'm sure it's more expensive now, but they were spending $10,000 a year per person for health insurance, and that's cheap, probably, and so it's wild that what we see, because in all of weight related, obesity related stuff is one of the highest drivers of healthcare costs in America.
100%.
They say, well, why can't we, and I think I had a big argument with a friend of mine about this when comparing the American healthcare system to Europe. Because they have better outcomes than us. Well, part of it is that the food has made us a lot sicker than Europe. We're more sedentary. So as a population, but America's, I guess, the best place to have a heart attack. If you have a heart attack, it'd rather be in America than anywhere else. Or cancer. The cancer was the other one where they tended to deny care in Europe and stuff like that more than they would in the U.S. But over 50% of healthcare expenditures are Medicare and Medicaid.
Yes.
Could you imagine if more people changed their health just by changing their food, what would happen to the healthcare costs?
Yeah.
Just in your own pocketbook. So I don't even think you have to go keto. You can go clean vegan, get the processed food out of your diet. There's just so much junk in it. And the regulations, they help them. They
Yes.
help these big food companies make this crap.
100%. They support them. So the AC says, I got up to 267. I'm going to get down to 167 again. Look at you, 100 pounds. And I'm currently sitting between
Wow.
205 and 215. Nicely done. I do love
Nice.
that. That is amazing. Yes. Let me grab a couple more of these if I could. P says, I cut out bread except for sourdough bread in moderation. Well, look, okay. If you're gonna eat a bread, sourdough's the one to eat. So I'm just
Sourdough,
saying.
yeah. At least
Yeah.
it's got probiotics in it. So yeah.
Yeah, if you're gonna eat one, that's the one. So yes, I'm with you on that one completely. So yeah, 100%. Kim says, I stay away from seed oils, carbs, and processed foods. Home run.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I love that. Christine agrees with you. She says the cleaning piece. She says, I've been dropping weight since I started eating clean. Yes. Yes. I mean, that's the piece. And look, to be
and
forward,
that's what RFK wants to do. He doesn't want to outlaw any of these foods. He just wants it to be cleaner so we're healthier. He doesn't want to ban fast food. He doesn't want to ban junk food. He just wants it to not be junk. That's what he wants.
Well, if RFK just gets rid of the subsidies, someone asked me the other day, why do they have pure cane sugar in Mexico? Why can't we have more healthier Coke than in the USA? It's because the government, it's cheaper to make the cheap soy, the corn syrup.
Corn syrup,
It's cheaper to make the fake sugar than it is real sugar. That's why.
Absolutely, yes.
So
IC corrects us though. It's not called fast freezing. Thank you, IC. It's called
freezing.
flash freezing. I'm sorry.
Flash
I
freezing.
said fast. It's flash. Sorry. Yes, I was incorrect. Absolutely. Yes. 100%. I want to make sure that was clear. So the flash freeze, I wish I'd got the flash freezing part correct. So let me walk down here if I could. People are teasing about the half cow thing. Half cow, toss it, freezer. Kintsugi says half cow, that's hardcore. IC
It's
says
delicious.
Freezers, get a half cow. So yeah, people like to have
Listen,
cow.
and I know some people around here. My dad's has a friend from high school that runs had run. I think he retired recently, but ran a beef farm, and they would do free range organic cows. And he and a couple of his friends went in and did that. And my family goes hunting, so we'll get like a full deer. And you've got to, you butcher it up, and it's a little smaller than a cow, but that's not uncommon. There's a lot of people now raising chickens. That's been really, good and really interesting just for the fresh eggs and all that. But it's, that used to be more common, 50 years ago too, where people would buy the half cow, and that was a form of savings. It was a way of, if you made more money over the summer, you could save it for later. And a lot of times, again, you're buying directly from the farmer.
It was also, but to add on top of that, Phil, was also a way to barter, so you didn't have to pay tax.
Definitely,
right?
Absolutely.
So you would barter food back and forth, and whatever the case may be, so that you don't pay tax on it. That was also a way that people got around some of those things. Absolutely, I completely agree. Renina's with you, Juan. Renina says can't afford the subsidies. Yes. Go ahead, Andrea. I'm sorry.
What I was going to say is I can too. So then I'm preserving stuff from my garden in the freezer, canning it, just any way you can do to get fresh food. Yeah.
Absolutely. 100%. So IC brings up a valid point. She says organic ground beef went from $39 at Aldi's to $5.49. This is another piece. This goes back to what we're talking about with the idea of regulations that hurt small farmers, subsidies that support bigger farmers. So now the farms that do organic or pasture raised or grass fed, grass finished, clearly that's more expensive, right? But not just that, it's hard to get into certain stores. So sometimes you find good spots. Again, where I happen to live in New York City, if you live in a working class or a wealthy neighborhood, it's everywhere. You can do it. But again, I've been very forward about this. You don't see me having a fancy watch. You don't see me having a fancy car. If I'm spending my money, I'm going to spend it on the food. I'm going to spend it on my food.
Spend it on a ribeye.
Yes, that's correct. I am happy. I will spend it on the food. And sometimes, depending on how much money you're making or where you live and what your lifestyle is, you may have to make some sacrifices, and you got to make a decision. Do I want the cool new TV, or do I want to eat better, right? Do I want to have a fancier car or do I want to eat better? Which one do I want to do? And look, no judgment. You do what you want with your own money, how to make you money. But I'm always going to say the same thing. I'm going to wear the same thing every day, but I'm going to eat good. Right.
Well, and I know some dairy farmers up here, and it's interesting because they're part of the Cabot. If you've ever have had Cabot cheese, that's kind of. Oh, you've never had Cabot cheese? Okay, so it's like kind of a Vermont thing, but it's kind of a farmer-owned collective where they the farmers get together and they process their cheese and they sell it at the grocery stores up here. So next time you're in upstate, we'll have to get you some Cabot cheese. It's really well, and they do they have a robot milker now. So the cow, anytime it feels like it needs to be milked, it just goes and walks in, and the robot cleans it off and milks the cow because the labor costs have gotten so high and they also put a lot of regulations on them in terms of like your workers that have to because they had built housing for people who work there, on the farm, and there was this New York State came in, it's like, no, you got to change this, and this, and this, even though again they've been there for a couple hundred years. So it's been really interesting to see that, but it's also really interesting to see that since we've had the milk subsidy, back in the time of Al Capone, he said he would make more money selling milk than he would selling booze. Yeah. And this is something that since we've had that subsidy, somehow all of a sudden the dairy producers can't make money when they've been able to make money before that. And, this was something that...
the regulations don't help because they tried this in New York State. They were like, well, you're being mean, so you have to make sure that your workers can only work 8 hours or 40 hours a week or whatever the case may be. So half the workers were undocumented anyway. So now they come in and now they have 2 fake IDs. I'm not joking.
Yeah.
So here's my first 40 hours. Here's my fake ID for my second 40 hours. Call me Pedro today. Call me Cesar tomorrow. That's it. That's all they do. And they would just do that constantly. So they get around it anyway, and it's illegal anyway. It's so stupid, Phil. You're exactly correct. We try to make things better, and we just make things worse. And now what do we get? Now we got robot milkers and less people working. Wow.
And there's also like in the 70s, and this was actually under a Labor government. They'd run out of money, so they stopped the farm subsidies altogether in New Zealand. And they said before then because they were paid per sheep, they were getting a lot of skinny sheep. But afterwards, what they found was that there was less subsidy towards fertilizer and all that, and they tended to get more organic produce out of New Zealand just because they weren't subsidizing the farms in the same way they were before. The Green Revolution.
How if it doesn't get involved, all of a sudden the actual person who buys the stuff matters. Isn't that weird? The customer matters. Weird.
Yeah.
I think it's weird whenever the government gets involved, everything just gets worse.
Yes. Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah.
Let me grab Liberty Lady. She says, carnivore cleared up my IBS issues. I just cheated and ate a quesadilla. My stomach will let me know later because of tortilla. So yes. But again, this is to Juan's point, right? Maybe you want to reward yourself sometimes, right? Maybe you want to have a quesadilla every once in a while, right? The world's not going to end. The problem is, do you have a quesadilla, then have 7 more quesadillas, then keep eating quesadillas for the next 7 days, right? That's a problem. But if you have a quesadilla once in a while, you'll be fine, right?
Yeah.
After 5, it becomes gordita.
Oh, is that how that works? Okay. I didn't know the rules. Yeah. So now you tell me the rules.
They also have low carb quesadillas too.
Yeah.
That's true. And my daughter,
they're not bad. They're pretty good.
She eats egg wraps. The egg wraps act as tortillas.
The egg life, yeah.
Yeah, she eats those all the time. In the mornings, sometimes I'll fry one of those up for her. I'll fry it up, and she'll put eggs and bacon and make a wrap. And just it's all protein, and she feels great. So yes, Kintsugi says Michaela Peterson talked about the lion diet and how it cured her childhood arthritis and depression. There is some data that shows that when you have the horrible foods they give you, you do get depressed. There's some data on that. Anybody know what the lion diet is? By the way, I never heard that before.
The lion diet is just ruminant animals. So it's just beef, sheep, venison. So it just ruminant animals. So they don't eat chicken, pork, any of that. Just ruminant.
I saw an interview. I saw an interview. I can't remember who was interviewing her, but they were very combative with her. Like almost like literally accusing her of being a liar. Like it's just like she had like serious medical issues.
Yeah.
And she's documented seriously, and then on her own, because she just decided to try this diet and it worked perfectly. Everything proved it. And I just remember in that interview, why are you attacking her? She's like, she has proof. She's not like someone's claiming to be. She can show you medical charts proving all these horrible conditions. She was going to the doctors every week, every month to see a doctor. She goes to this diet and it worked for her. So I tell people all the time,
because it breaks their worldview.
Exactly. I said, don't try keto. Just try the diet that works for you. If you're a vegan, like Andrea said before, or paleo, someone says, which one's the best? I should go low calories working for me. Fine. The one thing there's some global truth. If you eat well, avoid the processed foods, you're going to be much, much happier. And yeah, I can't remember who interviewing her, but it pissed me off.
You all mad?
I didn't see that one.
Being like a very inspirational story, he was like attacking her for going against the narrative of low calorie, you need carbs. And
there's also people who literally have shown evidence that they literally had cancer and they went on a keto diet and they went in remission. Now I want to be very clear for YouTube. I am not a doctor. This is not evidence. Please don't cancel me, YouTube. I'm just saying a story somebody told me. I'm not advising anyone to do anything. Okay, YouTube, I'm not a doctor. Don't cancel me. I'm just saying some people have said that. Now, if that works for you, why are you mad? To your point, Juan, if this diet is helping my health out, why are you mad? Let me get my health on. You get your health on, I'm gonna get my health on, and we'll be fine. I don't get it.
That's not even. I don't think that's even that controversial within the medical community, because my grandmother had lung cancer, and they said avoid sugar, avoid carbs. This was something that was pretty. Again, I think she went to a pretty conventional doctor in the Tampa Bay area down there, and and again they were saying like no sugar, no carbs while you have the cancer, because the sugar is known to feed the cancer better than it feeds your body.
Yep.
So,
correct.
Yeah, but my mom had cancer, and the doctor said, no, more bread.
No.
I think it depends on the doctor.
Yes, it depends on the doctor.
Just like in any profession, they're great doctors and they're bad doctors. And I think one thing I want to tell people that really, really helped me out. I remember years ago, I was getting almost depressed about my weight. I was trying everything. People say eat less, and I was like, I'm starving myself. I'm not losing weight. And I went to a doctor, and he said something very, he goes, look, you're just built to gain weight. If 10,000 years ago, if there was a famine and you were out hunting, you will be king of the world. In today's world, food is easily available. So he sort of took my view of being negative, saying, oh, okay, then it just says you just process fat very well, more than the average person. It says, and it's going to be a little bit harder for you, but don't give up. And I was very motivated by that, because I was getting very.
But that was my point earlier, Juan. That people there is a genetic piece. Andrea is correct. There's a genetic piece to this. People whose ancestors had lots of famine, they can process fat easier. It's just, and they keep it easier because that's what they needed. They were going to die if they didn't do that. So it worked. They were the ones who survived. I think it's true. But again, it just means to your point, Juan, maybe diet A works better for you and diet B works better for Andrea and diet C works better for Phil. But we got to find the right one. I completely agree. Yes, 100%. Absolutely true. Let me grab, if I could, a couple more of these super chats. P says, for $2, I want to know, are cute animals more tasty? No, they are not. No. So, yeah.
I don't think I eat cute animals. I don't eat any cute animals.
I'm sorry, I have, but listen, I've actually never shot a deer personally. I saw a beautiful 6-point buck in my scope one time. I took a shot, but my dad gave me a shotgun with a loose scope, and I missed him because the scope was loose. But I haven't been out much since. But those cute deer are so tasty. They're so, but no, they're actually. It's very gamey. It's, if you've had grass-fed beef, though, you've had venison. So.
Well, and I wouldn't call a buck cute. I really wouldn't.
Oh, okay.
I would say they're scary
Okay, see that? I'm gonna go with her. I'm with you, Andrea. Yes, so no. Peace goes on to say, Larry's ignoring my super chat. Are cute animals more? I wasn't ignoring. We were talking some stuff, Peace. I wasn't ignoring you, but I never ignore you. So yes, I'm not ignoring, but yes. I think it's about, we got two people who say cute, not tasty. Phil says they are. Juan?
No, the pigs and cows and no cute animals. I can't eat cute animals. No.
See, Phil, you're wrong. Sorry, 3-1.
Sorry.
Phil's wrong.
Well, it depends on how cute you think that pigs are, because pigs are the most tasty, and there's some. I mean, some pigs are better looking than others. Let's put it that way.
Okay.
Grown pigs are not cute. Grown pigs, they're not cute.
The baby ones can be. The
babies are cute. I don't eat the babies. Don't eat the babies. Just eat the adults. Then they're not cute.
Yeah, the teacup pigs are too cute.
There we go. I like that. Olivia, thank you for $10. Olivia, it's been forever since you have been on my show. Now that you are there, I'm going to call you tomorrow and bug you. Olivia, you have to come back on my show. I miss you. Olivia, by the way, doesn't always admit it, but I've just decided she's my adopted daughter. So she just is. That's how it works. She says, Larry, show for Supreme Leader. Yes, and then you can be the princess. Absolutely true. Olivia, thank you for being around for $10. I appreciate that. So we had a lot of cool super chats. I do appreciate that. I want to grab a couple more of these. There are so many people popping on and off. So Joel says, Callie and Casey Means put out some good information. Absolutely true.
Yes.
They give you a lot of good info. Absolutely. 100%. So I do think that there are many ways for us to find good info now. So, all right, I want to grab a couple from the Liberty Lady. She put a bunch out here. And if I could grab the one I just saw, she says, my husband has a skin condition. He went carnivore and dropped 40 and his skin condition went away. We cheated bad during Thanksgiving, took a few days, but his skin rashes cleared up when he went back. Look at that.
I will tell you this, Larry.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I had psoriasis, and when I went on keto, 3 months later, my psoriasis disappeared.
Wow.
I had a huge chunk of psoriasis on my leg, and it's completely healed.
Wow. There we go. Yes. Dave says, Larry, I remember the commercial from the 1970s. Only eat 2 eggs or you're over the cholesterol limit. Yes, I remember that one.
I remember that too.
I want 3.
Yes.
3.
No, it was 2. I remember that commercial.
Yes, I remember it too. Absolutely. Wow. The AC says, Peter Attia's The Straight Dope on Cholesterol explains it, but basically eating cholesterol doesn't raise your cholesterol. Eating carbs does.
Yep.
Your liver makes the cholesterol from the sugar. Well, there we go. There we go.
Your body can make cholesterol. Yeah.
Absolutely. Pickerbell says, I end up eating bacon and eggs most days, usually with some cheese too. I'm not super keen on beef, but I'm coming around to certain things. I even had a steak the other day. Look at that.
There you go.
There we go. Yes. No, I think that for most of us, no matter what it is, eating a whole lot of carbs, unless you are very active, right? Like you're an athlete or something, to your point, Juan, if you're going to go out hiking, right? Carbs are a great source of energy, right? For most people I'm going to give you a little tip on stress. What stress actually is the brain's inability to focus. That's really what stress is, right? When you are focused, you are less stressed. When you have a purpose, you are less stressed. When you're not bouncing all over the place, you are less stressed. So when you start getting stressed, your brain's firing. And what people don't realize is there's no such thing as multitasking. It's not really a thing. Your brain doesn't think of multiple things. It just turns on and off like a computer constantly. So it's on this, off this, on this, on that. Your brain loves 2 types of fuels more than anything else: fat and sugar. It loves those 2 more than anything. It'll give whatever, it'll take whatever you give it, but it loves those 2. So that's why we stress eat, because our brain is saying, give me energy. I'm stressed. I need the energy. That's why we stress eat. So we just keep eating. Give your brain fat, it won't ask for sugar. But you've got to train it to want to eat the fat. Right now, most of us, since we've been kids, have trained our brains to eat sugar. And what people also don't know, as far as your brain is concerned, bread is the same as a candy bar. There's no difference. They are carbs that your brain eats as sugar. Your brain doesn't care. A candy bar or bread, it's the same. Your brain goes, that's sugar, I'll take it. Doesn't matter. When people start thinking that way, it changes how they think.
Larry, I want to add one more thing to that too. The very
Please.
important. What doctor told me when it came to weight loss too, is stress management, because your cortisol rises.
Yes.
And if your cortisol is rising, that's your body basically in carb mode. It's like anti-keto. Okay.
Yep.
So that's why I take breaks, stand up, take breaks, because I'll catch myself. I'm trying to multitask and then I stop myself. And now I'm more to, I put it on the calendar and to say, I'm going to work on this task for 2 hours. And that's it. And that's been working for me, because I used to have like literally 3 screens working at the same time, working on this. I'm doing this. It was, and I'm just overloading my brain. And then I now allow myself to take breaks. I will go downstairs. I'll read a book for 15 minutes. I'll even play a game on my phone for 15 minutes. Just snap out of it. And most of the time, if I'm stuck on a problem and I take a break, I come back, voila. And that's but being less stressful, especially if you're trying weight loss, trying to relax will help you lose weight.
100%. Guys, I want to talk to the audience real fast. Cheyenne says it. Thank you, my friend, for saying this. He says, they unsubscribed me after a super chat too. I'm not joking. YouTube just decides you're a bot and unsubscribes you. That is why I bug you every single show, multiple times during the show, to please make sure you are subscribed on both YouTube channels. And if you haven't, please follow me on Facebook. Please follow me on X. It all matters. Please click that button known as like. That is the 1-2 click. It does matter. Why do I want you to like it? Because if you like this, the algorithms go, oh, people like it. Look, I've got cats. Come on, I got cats on the show. You got to like it. There's cats here. Come on now. So if you do like it, all of a sudden, the YouTube gurus go, oh, it must be good, so we'll show it to more people. So that's why I bug you to like it if you would do so. If you want to super chat me, please see people super chatting. This always goes right to the front. And of course, if you want to become a member, $4 per month, click that join button. $5 per month allows me to keep doing more and more of this. So thank you guys for all the support every time we can. I hope these are good things that you want. Kinsugi says, no bueno, YouTube. I know. No bueno is right. Yes. And AC says they turn off my notifications, which is why I say click both. Click it and then notifications. They do it constantly. And they don't like what I say. That's why I'm so shadow banned.
Yeah.
It's common sense. They don't want people to have any common sense.
Oh, there we go. Oh, I like that. They want people to have common sense. I like that. Shelly says, your brain is literally made of fat.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yep. Yes,
absolutely. Yes. IC says, stress can also be over-focusing. Over-focusing actually isn't focusing. Over-focusing means you're focusing on one thing plus things ahead of it. That's what over-focusing is. So even though it seems like it's linear, over-focusing is actually holistic, even though it feels like it's linear. So over-focusing actually isn't focusing. But I get your point, right? Sassy says, Larry is so right. It's true. I am. It's true.
Always.
So yes. Not always. A lot. How about that? I'll say that because I have been wrong. Yes.
Okay.
Olivia agrees. She says, okay, call me tomorrow. And yes, you did adopt me. I did. See, she admits it now. I will.
Yeah, Olivia's an elite athlete too. So
yes, Olivia is a championship wrestler. People don't know that. She is. She is amazing. Yes. And by the way, wrestles boys, or wrestled, not anymore, but wrestled males. That is how good she is. She's talented in many ways, which is why I adopted her, because I can now take credit for her being awesome, even though I didn't raise her. This is why I love it. I take credit for her being awesome, even though I didn't raise her. Very easy. So there we go. So Kim says, cute deers are very tasty. Just ask my pugs. I don't know if I like that one or not. I'm not sure I like that one.
Dogs are carnivores, so they would think that's pretty tasty.
Yeah.
Actually, dogs actually are omnivores. Cats are carnivores.
Cats are ovulatory. They should only eat meat, but dogs are mostly carnivores. Yes.
Well, I'm saying dogs will eat anything. They'll
eat anything, but that doesn't mean that they're optimal. Yeah.
Oh, optimal. Yes, correct. I'm sorry. Yes, optimal. Yes, But I know dogs, they will eat anything. It doesn't matter what it is.
Yeah.
Anything. 100%.
Whereas my cats are finicky. Yeah.
Correct. Yes. Cheyenne says the Fed regulations allow for big corps to label their food products with healthy labels, such as organic, but with subpar standards. That's the piece I see all the time. They allow people to be fooled because some company paid the government. Am I wrong here?
Very
It's
true.
greenwashing. Yeah, greenwashing.
Yes.
They make you think it's something it's not.
Kintsugi says Michaela had to have her ankle and hip replaced. I did not even know that. She's like
And when she was 16,
right?
She had it happen when she was 16.
Oh my God! Wow.
It was bad. I think she was going to have a second or third one in her early 20s too, and yeah, it was pretty bad.
Wow. I'm blown away by that. Cheyenne says my brother-in-law lost half his weight in a year with low carb.
Wow.
Oh my God.
Wow.
That is amazing.
That's amazing.
That is absolutely amazing. I like that. So, all righty. Christine says, hey, all you cat lovers, my cat is Loki. My cat Loki is in a cat beauty contest in January. He'll need your votes. Well, there we go.
Totally post that. Post that. We'll take care of you.
Yep, we'll take care of it.
There we go. All right, hold on. I gotta find Sassy D. I'm trying to get me Sassy D's question. Hold on. Someone's telling me. I have 3 people telling me that I have to answer Sassy D's question, and I can't seem to find. I have a lot of comments that go through, so I try to grab all of this. If I can find Sassy D, I will look for it here. Okay. Sassy D says, "Hi, Larry. My chronic disease has been a turn for the worse. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. It's affecting my brain function because I haven't been able to get the money to upkeep my diet. That changed my health dramatically. Any tips?" Yes, there is a doctor. His name is Dr. Tro. I will, I will put his information. You're a member. I will put his information on the members only community notes. Dr. Tro is here in New York. He speaks specifically on how to get on keto on a very specific, a very low budget. That's one of the things he does. He's very good at this. He will be able to teach you and show you how. He's a friend of mine. I'll bug him. I'll have him give you some tips so you can make this happen. You can do it. It is challenging. He talks about how you can literally go to like a fast food restaurant and ask for things specifically and get a keto out of that. How you can shop to get keto stuff. Now, it may not always be the highest quality everything. It may not be, but it can be. But it's how you buy and what you do. This is one of his specialties. His name is Dr. Tro. I've had him on my show before. If you want to, you can go to my YouTube page and just type in Dr. Tro, T-R-O. You will see him pop up. So yes, I will absolutely get that to you. I will let him know you'll reach out to him so he can give you some tips and help you make this happen because it can be done.
I would say this, Larry, is don't go all in and buy a half cow if you can't afford a half cow. If you can only afford hamburger and bologna, I want you to eat hamburger and bologna. If that's what you can afford, don't go for the gusto and think that, oh, well, I need to eat ribeyes every night. No, if you can't afford it, bologna, you're gonna get healthy off of bologna. I promise.
Yep.
Yes, and that's the issue. Dr. Tro does it's specifically what he does. That's one of the things he does. So I will have him have a comment. But Andrew's correct. There is hope. You can do it, right? And I talk to my daughter and I go out, right? We don't know if we're getting the best quality everything. Maybe we are, maybe we're not. And Juan has seen me, so has Phil. I go to local diners. I don't know what I'm getting. I don't know. But it doesn't matter. I show up and I'm going to eat their eggs and I'm going to eat their sausage and I hope it's good. But that's what I'm eating. That's what I'm doing. I'm supporting a local person. I hope they're doing good. But
well,
yes.
and also too, this was something that like because my grandparents, this was something that was close to me and maybe psychological too, affected me a little bit too. Because I know you were mentioning, Larry, about how your mom would like buy a lot of stuff because of poverty and stuff like that. And I remember hearing my grandparents talk about times when they were, even here in the States, when they were struggling, having enough to eat. And I mean, gardening was a huge thing for them. But then also the other big part of it too was we had a lot of lentils growing up. Lentil soup was very common. And this is something that I heard, I think Tim Pool say this. He's like, anywhere you go in the world, you'll say, hey, what's the local food? And it'll be like chicken and rice, something like that. And it's, and there's every culture has a bean recipe,
Yeah.
and beans are one of eggs are also, I think it was like, I got 60 eggs for like $12 at BJ's Wholesale here or something like that. So, then I just had a whole bunch of eggs for, I was able to do hard boiled eggs, scrambled eggs, egg salad. You're able to cook eggs into even like a stir fry type thing. So there's a lot of things you can do to add protein to your meal using eggs, and they can be cheap depending on where you get them and stuff like that.
So Joel says, though, he's over at Rumble. He says, I like the idea of ribeyes every night, though. It does sound great. He's not wrong. That does sound great.
That would be great. I can't even have that.
Yes.
You can eat a steak. You can eat a steak every night, and it's probably cheaper than eating out.
This is true.
That's a valid point. You know what?
True.
That's a valid point. You got some lentil people here. Hold on. Christine says, love lentil soup. Shelly says, lentils are very high in protein. IC says, I make a mean lentil soup. Well, you hit a nerve there, Phil. You hit a nerve on that one. Absolutely. And the AC says, bologna is better than cinnamon toast crunch. Yes, it is.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Yes,
and low sodium Spam is not that bad either. I mean,
there we go.
Yeah, it works too.
Or corned beef. I've eaten plenty of corned beef too.
Yes. The AC says, Dr. Cho is a white guy. Found him. Yes, he happens to be a white guy. Yes, he has and he shaved his head. So he shaved his head, and yes, Dr. Cho's a white guy. True. And he's in New York. So if a New York guy, yes. And he has pictures of him go ahead.
Is he pretty fly for a white guy?
He is. Indeed, he is. He's very fly for a white guy. Yeah. He absolutely is. Yes. 100%. So the AC says lentil is low carb. Not necessarily. It depends.
Just the beans. If you add like pasta or something like that, that's where the carbs come in. But if you have just lentils, and I know people who, there's like lentil cakes, lentil bread. If you just have the lentils, or if you don't put a ton of pasta into there too. I know there's some good Indian recipes for lentils.
Yes.
Where you add a lot of curry. That if I ever come back in another life, I want to come back as an Indian and have all that curry. But there's a lot of good recipes for lentils that are primarily lentils and don't have a lot of pasta in it. I mean, because we used to have that. I mean, we used to have pasta and fajol, pasta and beans, but beans and greens as well.
Pasta in my lentil soup, just veggies.
Yep.
But I want to be clear on something, guys. You don't have to go, 5 carbs a day to be healthy.
Mm-hmm.
You can go 30, 40, 50, 60 and still be healthy.
Correct.
So you don't have to go no carb. I very often try to go the day under 10, under 20 carbs. I often do. That's why I keep losing weight. But when I'm on maintenance, when I'm not trying, like I may still run for office next year, but when I was thinking about running for office, I want to drop the weight. So I actively go under 20, 10 carbs every day so I can keep losing the weight. But if I'm just maintaining and not caring, you can be very happy and healthy on 30, 40, 50 carbs a day. Totally fine.
And I would say Dr. Westman does say that under 20 carbs a day is prescription strength. That's what he calls it. That's prescription strength. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Do you find that that high fiber helps with processing carbs? Is that I think I've heard that somewhere, but again, I'm kind of new to the whole thing.
That's what Andrea was talking about. Andrea was talking about the idea of net carbs.
Okay.
The net carb concept is heavy fiber nullifies X number of carbs, so you stay in ketosis because you're pushing the carbs out before they can be absorbed.
The lentils will push it out real quick.
That's the concept behind it. However, just my world, generally speaking, I'm not I don't like jump on carb. If I have a lot of fiber, it will also often give me gas problems. So I'm actually better with less fiber. Like I have one salad a day. That's my fiber. But in the morning, there's almost no fiber in what I eat in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
And I find it just to be too complicated to do the net carb.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't, because what you're supposed to do is take the total carbohydrates and then subtract the amount of fiber that's in
Yep.
the product, and then that will get you the net carbs. I'm like,
Yep.
I don't have time for that.
Well,
Well,
if
go back to what Juan said, right? If you're someone who enjoys that kind of thing, I could see somebody really loving it, like making. You could make a bunch of recipes that would mix the carb and the fiber because you enjoy that. I know people who would love that, right? I'm with you, Andrea. I don't want to do that, but I do know people who would love that.
Larry, there's one thing I also want to add too. Some people who have tried the Atkins or the keto, sometimes it's rough on their system, and fiber would help them digest the food, because sometimes that is an issue. It was a little bit of an issue with me when I initially did Atkins. Now I don't really force myself to have fiber that much, but for me it was a little difficult just being pure meat. That's why I don't think I could ever be a carnivore. But for some people, the keto is sort of hard on their system. Fiber will help. They
call that
the
keto flu. That's what they call it. It's not flu, obviously, but they call it keto flu. It's that feeling when you first get on keto. Two things often happen when someone first gets into keto. One is they have withdrawal symptoms from not having carbs and sugar. They literally get withdrawal. Right, that's one piece. They'll not be able to sleep well. They'll be stressed. They'll have problems like that. That's one part. And the second thing is they may have gut problems too. You're right. And in that case, fiber does help to get rid of keto flu. You're totally correct. I don't go into keto flu anymore. That's why I don't care. But if you go into keto flu, I agree with you completely, Juan. Throw some extra fiber in there. It'll help it out 100%.
Well, and make sure 100%. You're getting enough electrolytes, because you think about all the minerals in our processed food, and we're cutting that out. And so you need to make sure that you're getting enough electrolytes, salt, magnesium, potassium.
So even my water has electrolytes.
There you go. There you go.
Yes. So Peace, thank you for the $5. He says, so much love in this group. This will grow. That's exciting. Aww. Nice. Thank you, Peace. Yes. Sassy says, Larry, thank you. Oh, okay. My situation is very complicated. I eat very clean, but my body is so sensitive. It overreacts like Michaela. I've got to stay under 50 carbs. Oh, there we go. Okay, so you have a specific situation where you've got to stay under 50. Okay, get it. All right, yes, I will take care of that. Today after this, I will do that. Straight Ann, by the way, over at Rumble, thank you for the $2. He says, Straight, awesome show, guys. Thank you. Look at that. We have an awesome show today. There we go. I did not realize that. I love that. So there we go. Grace says, I am late to the party. Anyone ever heard of the MIND diet to promote brain health and prevent dementia? I have not heard of that. Anybody heard about that?
No, but I did hear that diabetes is now, or that they call that dementia. So type 3 diabetes. Yeah. So.
Right.
Yeah. And many people are able to keep their diabetes under control by going towards a low carb diet. Many people can do it.
Absolutely. I reversed my pre-diabetes. Yeah.
Oh, there we go. You weren't there. Yeah. Perfect.
Yeah.
There we go. Yes. Well, what other people don't realize is the keto diet was first created to help people to not have epileptic seizures. So they know it affects your brain. The keto diet absolutely affects your brain because it's how it feeds your brain. So that's how it, and they know. So that's what it was for. It wasn't made. It was made to, and it worked. People who had epilepsy would go on a keto diet and would stop having seizures. It actually worked. But then they started losing weight. They're like, oh, that's, by the way, how Cialis and all those, those weren't
medications.
Those were heart medications. And they found out that it helped the boys get excited. They found that out too. So it became the blue pill, but it wasn't. It was made for heart. And they said, it does that? Forget the heart thing. It makes the boys excited. Priorities. Got it right. Andrew, you gotta get it right. That's how it works. So yes. But that's what happened now with the epileptics will often go on keto diet, and they found out you lost weight, and that's how it became that diet. It's where it's from. So yes, as Pinkerbell says, boner pills go burr. It's true. She's not wrong. She's not wrong. So yeah, she's definitely not wrong.
I'm in love with Pinkerbell.
Yes, there we go. Yes. I did have one I wanted to grab here. The AC says, if you supplement your magnesium, potassium, and sodium when you first go on keto, you won't get the flu. Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
There we go. Okay, so
You
everyone
shouldn't.
watching, if you go on keto, do what the AC says. AC's right. So yes, that's good. I love that. That's amazing. Guys, I want to ask one more time. If you enjoyed this show, please click the button known as like. Now I want to ask all of you, anything you want to say as we wrap this up? Do you want to say the last couple things? Tell us something, whatever, as we wrap this up. Phil, anything?
Yeah, no, I think the biggest thing is I really hope that we kind of focus on health in all aspects of it. I think it's combination of it's not just a government problem. It is a government problem though. It's a sociological problem. It's a technological problem in terms of that our lives have changed with technology, and it's an individual and a spiritual problem as well. And I think that it's kind of working through all of those elements of it, just not just the brass tacks of what to eat and what not to eat is important. So
there we go. Excellent. Juan, anything?
Yes, I want to just tell a lot of my friends who've been talking to me lately because they've been seeing my weight loss on social media. Don't give up. It's very easy to get frustrated. I understand it. I've been doing it for 30 years. And I even got to that point where I wanted to give up and say, you know what, I'm just a fat guy. Just take it. I'm so happy I didn't give up. Just every little step you do will get you to the goal. I'm hiking. I'm kayaking. My life is totally different now. I'm probably in my best shape that I can since I was 25 or 20 years old, honestly, right now. And just don't give up. Every little step helps. Cut back on the Diet Coke. Cut back, drink a little bit more water. Every little thing. And if you do 10 of these things and 8 of them work for you, you're going to lose weight. And also, don't try to lose it all tomorrow. Just try to lose a couple pounds.
Yep.
Just do that as a goal. Try to lose 5 pounds in the next month, next 2 or 3 months. You're going in the right direction, and the next thing you know, that 5 turns into 10, 10 turns into 15, and it just comes off, and it becomes part of your lifestyle. So don't give up.
Go.
We can do it.
Andrea, anything?
Well, I'm going to go libertarian here, Larry.
Please.
Yes.
We cannot wait for the government to make this right. What we have to do is take control of our health. We have to take control with our dollars, buy what is healthy for us, do what's right for you, and slowly things will change. We can't wait for them to change.
Yep. Absolutely. Yes, yes, and yes. And I will say 2 things if I could. Number 1, whatever works for you, do. It doesn't matter. What works for me is keto. Doesn't mean it's right for you. But whatever is going to work for you, and no matter what you're trying to achieve, whether it's losing weight, stopping smoking, being a better X, being a better Y, whatever the case may be, the number 1 thing you should do is start. Yep. That is the number 1 thing you must do. Start. Definitely. Pick the first thing you have to do, whatever that one thing is, and go do that. Start. It is the hardest thing. Remember, life is 2 things, habits and odds. If you change your habits, you will change your life. If you have good habits, the odds of your success go up. That's how it works. Habits and odds. And last thing I'll ask you, when the stream is over, please put down a comment at the end because I want Mr. Rhythm, you know who he is, Al Gore, Rhythm. I want him to care about me and to move this around. So please do so. Hey, guys, Larry, thank you so much. Go ahead, Andrew.
Could you tell everybody that I'll be down in the messages for an hour after this, and if anybody has any questions, feel free to ask.
There we go. Jump in right afterwards. Chat with Andrea. She's here. She'll go back and forth. In fact, if you tag her or go into any of her comments, she'll get a notification even if it's tomorrow, so she can come back tomorrow and answer questions.
I will answer any questions. Just tag me.
There we go.
Andrea L.
There we go. Easy day. So happy about that. Oh, hold on. We have a doctor in real fast. Hold on. This is way off topic. Doctor in the house. I learned about the dementia prevention diet as a continuing education conference. It's low glycemic, no grains, proteins, green vegetables. You can find it online. There we go. I want to make sure she just popped in. So I want to make sure that we did that. Thank you, doctor. Good doctor. I appreciate that. There we go. All right, guys. Great talking to you all. I will see all of you very soon.